Hi, my name is Talia and I'm making this video because I'm a mom of two twin boys, fraternal, and they're just over 9 weeks now. I'm making this video because I recently came across another video of a mom of twins giving the advice for breastfeeding to only breastfeed, and that's the only way that you'll be successful. And I think that if I saw that video before I had my boys and before I had the experience that I had, that would really weigh heavy on my heart, and I might have made really wrong choices for our situation. So I thought about it for a while, for a few weeks now, if I should make a video or not, and I think it's worth it. Because even if one mom or one parent, sees this video and it offers them some comfort or gives them some different information or more information so they can make the right decision for their family, I'm all for it. So, yeah. When it came to breastfeeding my twins, well, it was a little bit complicated at first. They were born at 35 weeks and 4 days, and judging by who you ask, they were at term or preterm, but they came into this world through a cesarean birth due to preeclampsia. One day my blood pressure was just skyrocket high, and we had to go ahead and do it. So considering that I had them via cesarean birth, my body hadn't experienced going through labor, and so there were natural cues missing from the birthing process that would have taken place that also slows down the ability to breastfeed. So if you've had a cesarean or you've researched, people who do have cesarean births tend to take a little bit longer in producing breast milk, so that's something that's important to know. It's not impossible though. Another thing that I learned while I was in the hospital recovering and being with the babies was that pain and stress really get in the way of breastfeeding or breast milk production. And that came from several nurses that worked with me. A lot of them were trying to make sure that I wasn't in too much pain, because personally in that time I was kind of resistant in taking certain pain medications, and they were really encouraging me to do so. And one of the reasons they brought up was, that pain gets in the way of breastfeeding, being able to produce breast milk for those babies. So that was interesting. So yeah, if you find yourself in a situation maybe where you're having a cesarean birth, maybe where it's a couple weeks early, as twins often are, those things can slow things down. They won't get in the way necessarily, but they'll slow things down. And something that I wasn't fully aware of, when babies are born, they will lose weight for the first few days because everybody's body who gave birth, it takes a while for colostrum colostrum's kind of there and it's available. I guess it takes a while for colostrum to turn into breast milk, for that shift to happen. And meanwhile, you're, attempting to feed these babies, but they're fine. But it's natural and completely fine to see a dip in birth weight because of that first few days period where you're changing from colostrum into breast milk, and your babies start to lose weight because all of a sudden they're not getting that nutrition from your placenta anymore. They're separated. But then after that dip, you definitely want to see an increase in weight, because assumingly they would be receiving breast milk. So in our situation, because the babies were the age that they were, 35 weeks and 4 days when they were born, the hospital that I was at UCSF. They wanted to see a pattern of consistent weight gain over, can't remember if it was 3 days of weight gain. So for the first 2 days, there was a dip. And then with one of our babies, we saw really good weight gain. The other baby, he was also gaining weight. I think it took him one more day. He was kind of flatlined a bit. But they wanted to see that consistent weight gain over 3 days. And that was hard to do because I wasn't producing breast milk yet. And so the baby's doctors came to me and my husband and basically laid it out on the table that I probably wasn't going to be able to produce enough to get them that weight gain right off the bat. And they gave me options of supplementing with formula or having the babies on an IV drip that would give them, sustenance. And I was really torn about the idea, or about that decision. Having the idea of formula and then just this heaviness on my heart that they wouldn't be getting sustenance from me and that they would be experiencing a bottle and they would probably grow a preference for that, and all these just really heavy thoughts. And then the thought of an IV, which was just really heartbreaking to me. And so we talked it through with them. And something that is important to our family is to stay away from dairy products. So milk, for example, or things derived from milk. And so that was something that also kind of stood in the way of us wanting to go ahead and supplement with formula. But the doctors worked with us and we found a really good formula that kind of fit our desires, and we went ahead with a plan to supplement. Now, this is kind of where I really disagree with that video that I saw, because that twin mom, I think she had all the best intentions, but it was kind of a dangerous train of thought there. She had said, the only way to be successful in breastfeeding is to only breastfeed. And in my case, that wouldn't have been possible without giving the babies an IV drip. And I think that was a bit, at least for me, for our family, it was more invasive than we would be willing to do. And not as necessary. So supplementing is adding on to. It's not going to take over the whole breastfeeding process. So what we did was I would go as often as I could to go see the babies and have them breastfeed on me. And even though they weren't getting any breast milk, they were getting maybe a little bit of colostrum. It was still giving us the time together to bond. And it was giving me the right type of stimulation, because babies give the best stimulation, for milk production. And then after a while of that, we would follow up with a supplement little amount, of formula, so that they could actually get those calories in and nutrients in. And that was a process that was emotionally taxing, because I wanted to produce enough for them, of course. It weighs heavy on a lot of parents' hearts. But it was worth it in the end, because then my breast milk started coming in and we would supplement less and less, or the babies would be full, and not need a supplement at all. And by the time we were out of the hospital, which is a whole story in of itself, it was 11 days. And we went back home because we had to travel to go to UCSF. We maybe continued supplementing with formula for about 1 more week consistently, and then every once in a while, if my breast felt really soft or something like that, or the baby seemed really discontent, we would go ahead and supplement again. I'm gonna pause right here. Okay, Sorry about that. So, yeah. Now we're at 9 weeks. We don't supplement with formula at all. And I actually got to the point of producing more breast milk that we were able to freeze and save in our freezer. But then I've been kind of sick for like 2 weeks, so I feel like my milk production kind of dropped again, and I was working less, breast pumping to get that extra milk, so now I'm trying to incorporate that back into the cycle just to make sure that I've got both of the boys and their needs are going to be fine. So yeah, long story short, I would say that when it comes to breastfeeding, try and lift those heavy connotations off of yourself, and try and actually have a dialogue with the doctors or nurses involved about what you really want, why they're suggesting certain things. That way you can make an educated decision and not just act purely based off of emotion. If I had done that, it's possible I could have made the wrong decision for our family and our babies, and I would probably have suffered for it. So, yeah. I hope this story helps somebody, at least somebody out there. And I guess even if not, then it was good for me to talk about it. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment or message. I don't really care. And, I'll get back to you because I think it's really valuable for us to talk about our experiences when it's asked for. Yeah, so I don't want to come off as too preachy or anything like that, but if you want to talk about things or you have some questions, please, I would definitely be happy to do that. Yeah, hugs. All right, bye.